Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Tonight Show podcast with me, Charlie. Tonight here live on YouTube tonight. Happy Christmas jumper day, everybody! Today, as you can tell, for the second week in a row, I have a Christmas jumper on. Yes, and this one a little bit more comedic. As you know, with snowmen melting away in the background. Yes, I'm joined by Labour Party supporter Zach Chambers around all the latest news. Hello, Zach.
Hello, Charlie. Hello, mate.
Well, happy Christmas jumper day it is. We've got some Christmassy bits of news coming a bit later on. Let's get on to the serious stuff now and talk about what's been happening across the UK and the world news at the moment. Now, Rishi Sunak, the Prime Minister, is under a lot of pressure. Well, not just the Prime Minister, the Conservative Party as well. Now, Rwanda plan does not seem to be getting off to a great start, doesn't it? And it's been announced that the Robert Jenrick has resigned from his position as, I believe, immigration minister over that as well. Well, it doesn't go far enough to the ECHR, according to Suella Braverman. So, yes, Rishi Sunak is under a lot of pressure. Many Conservative MPs are fuming with him right now. And I expect the letters of no confidence, which will be heading to number 10, and Sunak will certainly get more no confidence letters through that mailbox of number 10, I'm pretty sure. But Zach, this week in Parliament and for the Prime Minister in general, an immigration bill is certainly one that could potentially end his premiership and maybe possibly a general election on the way.
Lots of questions to ask on that one, I feel. But yeah, it's been an absolute chaotic week for the Prime Minister. Early this week, we had those immigration measures come in place. And then we had the trip to Rwanda for the Home Secretary. And now a very quick turnaround to try and turn the Rwanda Treaty, the new one that's been signed, into legislation. The general vibe that I get from this is that I'm not sure everyone is exactly happy as well from that. The One Nation Tories looking at the bill feel like, in their view, that it may be tolerable, but they've got legal concerns about it. As for right-wing MPs on the New Conservative, the ERG side, the Common Sense groups, for them, it's not going far enough. It doesn't obviously include enough withstanding clauses on the ECHR, and it doesn't deal with the individual removal in that sense as well. What we do know about the bill is that it does have notwithstanding clauses. So in legal terms, what that is that we would put aside certain acts. And for example, the Human Rights Act, there's certain sections that don't apply to this bill that can be ignored. Interim measures from the ECHR can be ignored. Refugee prevention can be ignored. It's there's a lot of notwithstanding clauses. And in my view as well, I think it'd be less about whether it can get through the Commons and more so about whether it can get through the Lords. My view is on this is I struggle to see it going through the Lords if it squeezes through the Commons. And we know that the likes of Suella Braverman's unimpressed. We now know this week that Robert Jenrick is unimpressed. He resigned this week in protest over the fact that the measures do not go far enough. I'm astonished, quite frankly, if you ask me, because in my view, when you look at it, the Rwandan government, when the deal partnership was announced, or when the updated treaty was announced, then the bill was published. The Rwanda government put out an interesting statement saying that without it following international law or domestic law, that Rwanda couldn't continue with the economic and partnership that they're doing with the UK. Now that suggests to me that they had concerns that the government were going too far, and the Rwandan government had to reel them in themselves to stop them going too far and prevent them from doing this treaty. I have to say, I think it's extraordinary. I think it's absolutely extraordinary. We got to the point where the Ugandan government has stopped, the government from going overboard on ignoring ECHR, ignoring human rights acts. I mean, I don't think we should be ignoring the stuff anyway, just because we get the courts. But what's interesting about also the bill itself is it legislates to say that Rwanda is a safe country. And I'm astonished by that, because basically it's like saying that North Korea is a safe country because we've legislated to say so. And again, we are paying money to Rwandans for this. We are paying 150 million now. The financial contributions keep going up, and we have sent more home secretaries to Rwanda than we have actual people and migrants. Again, this is a waste of taxpayers' money. That's been spun out the plan for a couple of plans that don't work and may not even pass international courts. Incredible. Absolutely incredible. It may pass domestic courts, but at the end of the day, the international courts will have a say on this. And do we want a reputation ruined on the world because our international courts say so? I mean, come on. Don't it look bad? It does look bad that we're prepared to override our treaties and obligations and the Human Rights Act, whatever you think of it, just to make the point of Rwanda. And I'm astonished, quite frankly. The first action we're going to see on this is Tuesday. We know that the ERG, the One Nation Tories, the Common Sense Group are really looking into this legislation. They got their star chamber. They got Bill Cash involved, who's the mastermind of the legislative ways of things. I think, if there will be a rebellion, I feel, but it depends on how much rebellion is. The Conservatives can only leave about 29 people, or Conservative MPs, for it, for them to be defeated. But the question is, what does Rishi Sunak do? Does he have a plan B out of this? The overwhelming feeling at the moment is no. Does he call an election? I feel like he wants to go late on election, but he doesn't want it now. But will he be left with any choice if he can't even get Rwanda through? We know Labour are going to vote it down. It's easy to see why. But what are they going to do when this goes down, if it does go down, whether it's in the Commons or the Lords or in the courts? I don't know. He came out in a feisty mood today, Rishi Sunak, in his press conference. He's very feisty. He can tell he's fluttered and frustrated, but I don't know what he's going to do really about it, because if this doesn't work, then God in hell, does it matter? And whether it becomes a confidence issue with him is to be seen, because I get the scene there has been votes of no confidence going into the 1922 committee. There are a lot of frustrated backbenchers. I know there's some that will really want to support him, but if the likes of Jenrick is resigning and Suella Braverman saying it's not going far enough, they're a lot crazy. Literally, they're crazy. They just want to break international law, forget every obligation just for the sake of, a few immigrants going aboard. But that's what politically, that's what they think at the moment. Is the only way the Conservative Party can win. So they'll do what they do. But at the end of the day, the Prime Minister has dug himself into a legislative and legal hole with this Rwanda bill. And he's either going to win or he's going to lose. That sounds straightforward when I say that. But, oh my goodness. He's not making it easy himself, especially with the legislation that he's put forward.
I have to say, Zach, as well, and I've got this article up from GB News here about what's been happening with migrant crisis. The French police have just been completely overwhelmed with them. You can see here, France, there's been in motorways and roundabouts and stuff as well. And look at this. This is what the migrant crisis is affecting Europe right now. You can see migrants are being filmed around the roads and stuff. And it says on here, according to a report, that since the start of the year, immigration enforcement has also arrested 230 people smugglers and lead to 160 years in sentences. It's clear now that Border Force have got to step up their intersection of these migrants. But also as well, the big question now is, what does Sunak do? I think, Zach, Tory leadership contests, after Tory leadership contests, are becoming a bit of a joke now, really, I think. You know, that how they parachuted Rishi Sunak in without not even being elected. The problem is now the Conservatives are running out, the government are running out of options. Is the safest thing to do would be to let the public decide themselves who they want to be in charge of this country, particularly what the next UK government could look like.
Yeah. And it feels like we're really getting the starting guns for an election. I mean, Suella Braverman's personal statement in the Commons felt like election pitching. And it wasn't less personal statement. It was more pitch for, leadership in the future. With my very conservative, right-wing extremist agenda, leave ECHR, leave the Human Rights Act, replace that, stop immigrants. That's what it was. It's a leadership pitch. You know where she's placing herself. She's the obvious leadership contender if it ever comes along. Quite frankly, it'll make the Conservative fortunes worse with her in charge. I mean, everyone compares her to Margaret Thatcher. Well, there's been a few Margaret Thatcher comparisons this week, but goodness me, she ain't one. She definitely is not the Iron Steel lady in that one. But yeah, she's obviously going to be leadership contender. Has Robert Jenrick's resignation this week done that as well? Has he sort of put himself into the ring with his posturing? I don't know. It remains to be seen, but interesting nevertheless. Regardless, my finger's going a bit doolally. That's fine. It works, I think. Probably just the way I speak as well. Was it actually on a slow one? No, but anyway, yeah. For me, when I look at it, Suella Braverman's the obvious leadership contender in here. Has Robert Jenrick entered himself in the ring? I don't know yet. He's obviously a personal friend of Sunak. I don't know whether that would be reasonable. Oh, I don't know. There will be some leadership contenders when we get to there, when it comes around. Suella Braverman, I think, could be one of them. Kemi Badenoch, probably another one. Again, Robert Jenrick, possibly not. I don't know. He feels like he's been banging the drum on this, but whether he's convinced, whether his resignation does anything to deter anyone from Tory MPs voting for the Rwanda bill on Tuesday, who knows? Yeah, but this is a problem for Rishi Sunak overall. He's dug himself a hole. Seems like he can't get out of it at the moment.
But I have to say, though, before we move on, when Braverman gave that statement the other day in the Commons, the statement had one thing in there: avoid electoral disaster. That there is music to Labour's ears, because that quote that she used is a quote that, if this continues, Zach, from what Suella said, and probably from quite a few other Conservative MPs, when it comes to them going to the polls, they could get an absolute annihilation by Labour, and possibly then they could be the next opposition party, and Labour could well be in charge of the country very soon.
Yeah, and I have to say, I mean, when you heard Suella's personal speech, I mean, when she's talked about facing electoral obliteration, Labour were absolutely laughing onto it because they know that power is in their grasp, and then they just love the sound of that. She's right in some faith that Conservatives do face electoral obliteration, but this is all about. I guess this is more about trying to keep some of those red wall voters on board if they do achieve an immigration source of success on this. But most of the country is more concerned with cost of living than immigration, so it won't be the defining factor. I feel. I feel like this is where people get it wrong. That immigration is gonna be like the defining factor of this. Maybe not. I don't think even if the Conservatives can go on the hard rhetoric they want, but I have to say as well, if election's going to be grounded around immigration, I mean, they're not exactly on high heels, are they? With their reputation for it, it's not. It's somewhere where Labour have been easily be able to pounce on, and they feel comfortable talking about. So, on the face of it, this may not even work for them. They're so far behind that this may not even talking about immigration may not even work for them.
It's an interesting discussion. Please comment down below what you make the current issues regarding the UK government and Prime Minister Rishi Sunak. So, yes. Now, moving on now from one Prime Minister to one former Prime Minister now.
Aha.
Boris Johnson, yes. He has been given evidence this week to the COVID inquiry. Of course, Boris Johnson has now officially got a job on GB News, I think, starting next year or in the new year. So, a journalist, former Prime Minister turned journalist now, because he's going to have his own show on a news station, has been given evidence this week in the COVID inquiry, which has also been given by Matt Hancock and possibly many other people to come. And Zach, some quite interesting statements were actually said this week, weren't they?
Yeah, in terms of his performance, right? I mean, he seemed, in terms of the overall package, because obviously Boris comes with the fluster, the entertainment, the excitement. Overall, his tone was a lot more measured than what he's previously testified before to other committees and over when he appeared in public. It's a lot more toned. I feel like for me, it's a lot more toned. I feel like he had a better grasp on the answers than some of his previous performances. It definitely was better than some of his previous ones, but whether we can believe it or not, it remains to be seen. And as well, he's a lot obviously contributed to lots of what the evidence has probably suggested, like with from a chief medical officer, chief scientific officer. He defended Barnard, ETAT's health, for example. He feels like in retrospect that things could have been done earlier, but actually if he did it in the moment, he felt like he did nothing wrong. So, yeah, he defended a lot of his actions. He did what he didn't defend, and I have to say as well, and well, to be fair, he did defend was his actions around Partygate. He claims that what we saw was, a misinterpretation and nothing like what was going on actually behind the scenes. I mean, hundreds of fixed penalty notices may say something different, but there we go. But it wasn't. He did get flustered at some points. I mean, he got probed today, and he was very probed by several cases. But actually, overall, he seemed a bit more calm. And he tried to sound like he was trying to be sincere. So it wasn't, it still wasn't great, but it was better than I feel like compared to his previous appearances and overall public performances. And it's weird I say that, but it wasn't over loud, claptrappy, argue back. You can't really do it this in here, but he was veering a little bit off topic at times, but so it wasn't brilliant, but it was better than previous, stuff that he's done before. I feel like for me,
I have to say, Zach, do you think you're saying this, or do you think people will say this because he's now no longer a serving MP?
I don't know. I don't know if people just say that because he's no longer serving MP, but obviously he's not known for being a good truth teller. And obviously he had his lawyers to deal with, legal team to deal with as well, that's calming down and everything like that as well. But whether we believe it or not, I feel like people will struggle to believe what he said because a lot of people have contradicted the evidence. He was challenged on and I thought what was bizarre answer I have to say as well when he was challenging all the inner government stuff like let it rip, people at their last innings, and he seemed to think that was normal conversation in government. Like in a virus, that is not normal conversation. You need to be a bit measured. I know people are under pressure, but goodness me, you can't sort of say those sort of things as well. So the fact that Vallance heard it, and especially others have heard it as well, I think is against the sense that he's defended his actions, but whether their people believe that his actions were realistic or not, I don't know. I don't think they will, though. I think they'll more believe the scientists than him personally.
Well, that's Boris's viewpoint on coronavirus pandemic from 2020. So, yeah, the COVID inquiry continues. Lots more news on that. Moving on now to some news I want to share with you about some pretty horrifying, a pretty horrible stabbing that happened the other. Actually, yeah, let's go on and talk about London again. And I'm sorry, guys. There's been a lot of news in London this week. We've had Rolex watches, I think, been on the news recently about people thefting Rolex watches. But in Sutton, there's a murder investigation begun after a teenager was reportedly stabbed. Police found the 17-year-old boy of a stab wounds near Sutton railway station at 7:10 Greenwich Mean Time on Tuesday. He was pronounced dead at the scene. The Met said the railway station was closed and several other roads in the area were shut. The forces have started an murder inquiry. Said no arrests have been made. So, again, another stabbing. I mean, how many teenagers have been killed this year? Is it 16, 17, 18? It's horrible. We've found reports of, I think the High Street one, I think was teenager was nicknamed Alias Habibi, for what we understand, as well. But
another
this week is just crazy
stabbing.
with how much crime is happening with Rolex watches and this horrible stabbing in Sutton the other day.
Yeah, so much crime that's happening at the moment in the London area, and we know it's happening too much still, and far too many innocent people dying from stabbings that should not be happening. Like Hackney, there was a woman killed, and 2 have been wounded in a shooting there. 42 woman, I think, died at the scene as well because of her wounds to herself. There's been gangs this week, as you mentioned on there. There's been a gang that's been breaking in, and it's there's been a lot of chaos in London at the moment, and it's still continuing. It's not great at all, and not a good look, I have to say. But especially the one that really, was very, very disappointing was the stabbings as well. The 17-year-old. We also had recently as well in Islington. Very shocking, and this is actually happened the other day. A teacher allegedly punching a 10-year-old son, 10-year-old student in Islington. There's been a stabbing, there's been a robbing, there's been a shooting, there's been a school incident. Yeah, a lot of stuff that's been happening in London at the moment. Far too much going on there as well. And then we had gang links as well. Yeah, it's just, I'm very not good. We've also had as well ULEZ cameras being destroyed. I mean, whatever your opinion on ULEZ is, it's not an acceptable way to do stuff like committing, burglary, and vandalism against property. There was, I think, one ULEZ camera, I think today that was nearly blown up. Someone used devices to blow ULEZ camera. I mean, that's just shocking. That could be a terrorist incident if that was anything else. But yeah, it's not good. It's called by an IED. It was damaged in the blast 90 minutes after it cut down as well. And it actually damaged nearby vehicles. So actually, it's causing vandalism as well because it's damaged other people's properties. Now, again, like I said, your opinion on ULEZ is welcome if you're passionate about it. But blowing up cameras just because you don't like it is a crime. It's committing burglary. It's committing vandalism, and you should be punished like anyone else. Like we wouldn't treat the same with looters and shooters. So why should we treat people who blow up ULEZ cameras any differently? Yeah, so a lot's happening in London this week, and it's not been a good look.
Yeah, certainly for Sadiq Khan, it's been a week that he would want to forget. I think all this crime and stuff that he's still not getting onto. So yeah, not a good week for Sadiq Khan. Now moving on now to America. Now because I want to talk about some news over in the States. I think we had another Republican debate the other day. I think as well. But I just want to mention the quick news from US politics whilst we're here. and talk about something that is very, very important now. And that is supplementary. So we've got news here. We've got Donald Trump blasting Biden's actions at the border, saying America is finished. And it claimed as Biden is going to use a supplemental bill worth $106 billion for Ukraine, Israel, and Taiwan. However, though, it's been failed in a procedure vote. I mean, Zach, there's clearly a lot of news happening this week in the States.
Yeah, a lot's happening in the States. We had that. I'll get into the Republican leadership debate in a minute. But we've had the supplemental bill done by the Senate blocked because Republicans want border measures in it. And the negotiations is still going on about that at the moment as well. But anyway, on that, Ukraine, Israel, Taiwan is not going to come through. I mean, if Donald Trump doesn't even support that, I mean, come on. Like, the idea of defending Taiwan or Ukraine or Israel, what happened to those defenders? I mean, border measures, fine. But blimey, you don't even support a bill on that, then yeah, that's pretty bad. But yeah, going back to the debate, the GOP debate that happened this week as well. Again, a lot of clashes as well. Nikki Haley was the one that seemed to be attacked the most at this week's at the fourth Republican debate. Rivals fire and attack, along talk about Trump as well. It was Vivek Ramaswamy, Nikki Haley, Chris Christie, Ron DeSantis, all there as well. Mr. Chris Christie, used most of his debate time to try and encourage his other colleagues to try and attack more of Donald Trump and to try and make sure that the others attack him. Ramaswamy run a load of conspiracy theories about January 6th being an inside job and the Saudis being behind 9/11 and all that sort of stuff like that. You got Nikki Haley was accused of being corrupt by Ramaswamy as well. Chris Christie, criticized a lot of his rivals as well, and insults. Look, I mean, at one point, I believe Ramaswamy was displaying a paper that said Nikki corrupt or something like that as well. He launched a lot of conspiracy theories, claimed that January 6th was an inside job. The American government lied about 9/11. The 2020 was stolen by the tech industry. I mean, it's nonsense, all that nonsense as well. Chris Christie responded saying that, calling Ramaswamy the most obnoxious blowhard in America and telling him to shut up for a little while, because obviously he does talk a lot and rant on a lot as well. But yeah, I have to say, it's another poor showing for Ramaswamy. Chris Christie, I feel like did good, but I don't know. It's again, the real winner out of this will be Donald Trump, who will be laughing his head off for all this as well, whilst the other four go on to continue to talk along each other about that as well.
Yeah, and that's all of the news there from politics at the moment. Now, time to talk about I'm a Celebrity Gets Me Out of Here Now, where we've had eliminations this week for some of the celebrities, guys. If you've not watched I'm a Celebrity up until this point, please skip forward ahead in the show. But if you have, here are some of the results that have come in already. So we've learned this week that, according to reports, we're not going to issue tonight's I won't issue tonight's elimination yet, but we've learned that Nella Rose left the other day, I think on the second night of elimination. So I'm happy with that for a change. Nella out. Nick Pickard left the other night as well. Frankie Dettori became the first one to be eliminated, last in and first out, according to that as well. And we've also seen many trials this week as well. Last night we saw Tony Bellew, Marvin Humes and Nick Pickard take on Critter Mixer, where Tony was strapped into the cab with Fish Guts and Nick and Marvin Humes, Jay Lessinger, been tied up to a critter mixer that spun round and round like a rancid rotisserie that Russell Watson done a few years ago. Got stars in there. And also as well, we saw Nigel Farage have debates about Brexit with his campmates and also the Jungle Arms this week as well. Where funnily enough, Nigel got himself shirtless with "I'm too sexy for my shirt." This is hilarious. I'm actually going to play it in a minute. But yeah.
Oh God,
Zach, what have you made this week to the camp, but also to Nigel Farage's interesting debates with campmates?
yeah, he does like a bit of a Brexit debate, doesn't he? He's always like his hot topic with him. As well, yeah, there's a lot of debate going on. Let me go through some of the stuff involving eliminations this week. I haven't seen tonight's show. I've been watching the football. I've been watching the football most weeks, so probably haven't caught up with the show, to be fair. But what I have seen with eliminations, let me go through what I think as well. I'm surprised that Frankie Dettori went before Nella Rose. I'm really surprised because Nella was extremely annoying. Extremely annoying. And although Frankie really didn't do much, I would have thought that she would have gone less than Nella. But I feel like the public sympathy on that vote on Sunday was because I feel like Nella did a task and she did the bush chucker trial quite well compared to me. I know she wasn't being her dramatic self at times, and she did it quite well. Whereas Frankie, might not be exciting, but and I guess the viewers didn't view it in that way. But I'm surprised he went before Nella. Nella went on the Monday. And then I think if I remember rightly, it was Fred went on the Tuesday. He's for me, he's become a bit more argumentative in camp. And I feel like for me, I think he lost a lot of public sympathy when he started being argumentative and not getting away with regarding the food and the cooking and everything like that as well. He came across a little bit as a strop and a bit unpleasant. So I guess that's why.
Or was it the me on the Bush Tucker trials when he always used to put his hand up like he was in the classroom saying, me, please, I want to do the trial at some point.
Yeah, absolutely. It's all me. And yeah, it wasn't. Yeah, he was a bit desperate as well. Yeah, it was. I feel like his kind of desperation is coming across a little bit as well. And then last night, as well, from what I remember as well, it was I think Nick Pickard that went on the Wednesday as well. I obviously haven't watched tonight. I'm not going to spoil tonight. It's probably still on as well. But we knew that Nick Pickard went last night as well. I was quite entertained actually. I don't think he did too much wrong in there. I thought he was actually quite good. So I enjoyed his appearances actually. But what it meant is we got the likes of Marvin, Josie, Danielle, Nigel, Josie, Daniel, yeah, Marvin's still there, Sam still there as well. Some obvious names in that mix as well, and obviously I think Tony's still there as well.
Yeah,
Tony Bell, still there as well. So yeah, we've still got quite a bit of candidates left, as well. But I haven't seen tonight's show, so I imagine that someone is still going home tonight, presumably on that one. But yeah, I haven't watched it personally, but yeah. I genuinely thought, in my view, that Frankie going before Nella was a bit of a surprise to me. I wasn't really expecting that. In my view as well, on in that sense, I expected it was probably going to be Nella going first, but I guess Frankie Dettori didn't bring the excitement factor as much as Nella did, despite the fact that she was extremely annoying, genuinely extremely annoying to watch. But I think that's a decent top 6 at the moment. As for Nigel. That scene at camp where he was running, dancing around without a top. Oh my! I'm quite glad. I normally wear glasses, but I have to honestly, when I saw that clip, I have to take it off because honestly, it makes me want to go blind. I mean, whenever I see Nigel Farage do stuff like that, it makes me want to go. Oh disgusting. Not for me, mate. Not for me.
Here we go, guys. I
Dirty.
thought this is, honestly, please Ofcom. I hope I don't get in trouble for this, but this is what happened the other day. I mean, this is Nigel getting boozy with the woozy. I'll say that was him the other day. Apparently on I'm a Celebrity. I mean, that is crazy.
Please. Embarrassing. Yeah, I don't. I mean, I don't. I know he's done it once on a GB News show, and I don't want to ever get that picture out of my head, quite frankly, because it's disgusting. But yeah, I think I've seen it one too many times as well. Yuck. Yeah. Hang on, mate. I've just been called. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, it was certainly interesting. Now it's time to play a little bit of a clip of the Jungle Arms, including Nigel going a bit shirtless. Have a listen to this.
You need someone underneath so strong. It happened. The moment happened. I've been waiting for it for so long. I wait up, I can't sleep. What else could it be? It's in your soul deep. No matter where you're going to. I'll wait forever and a day for you. I wait up, I'm used to looking to my left and right and seeing my boys with me, but tonight I just looked to my right and had Sam with me. That was wicked. Wow, that was the best thing I've ever done in my life. Yeah. Oh, finally!
It was brilliant, very, very special, and I missed the JLS tour, so that's special. That.
Don't worry.
Yeah.
The volume.
That's it.
But a thing.
Oh my God, you just killed it, man.
I thought he was going to be spectacular. Honestly, he ought to be arrested for what he done to that song.
Cause every little thing is gonna be alright. My favourite song, Three Little Birds. I mean, obviously, I cook better than I sing, but you got to give it a go. You know, I will get there. I promise you. Hello?
Go on, Joe.
Is this thing hard?
Hold on. Josie just jumped up on the microphone and picked the hardest song to rap to.
Said it, hip hop, hip with the hip hop. Jump the boogie to the rhythm of the boogity beat. Now what you hear is not a test. I rap it to the beat.
Oh, really? She done absolutely amazing. She gave it the big one. Josie, what a woman. L is for the way you look at me.
Really impressed with Tony singing. He was doing that knee bop. Oh, I was just so here for it.
Love was made for me and you.
Tony singing L-O-V-E. He's singing really well. I'm having a career there.
I'm too sexy for my love. Too sexy for my love. Love's going to leave me.
We were all in the delight of Nigel Farage. I'm too sexy for my shirt.
Sexy for my shirt. Too sexy for my shirt. So sexy it hurts. I do know the Fairbrass brothers that to produce that hit, you know, I'm too sexy for my shirt. You've got to get your shirt off.
Oh my God, I'm just so glad that I got to witness that moment.
Oh wow, Nigel. That is certainly an interesting experience with seeing yourself shirtless on I'm a Celebrity. Get me out of here. Yeah. My it's gonna be my interesting thing certainly come out at an interesting cost. So yeah. That's all I can say on that one. Now it's time for the sports news now and talk about some Premier League action, midweek Premier League action this week. And Zach, plenty of results have come in already, including couple of under pressure managers.
Yeah, I just want to talk about tonight's results because that's just happened as well. There's been two surprising results. Really has been two surprising results tonight. Everton 3-0 victory over Newcastle United. That's a very surprising one. But what it is, despite the fact that Everton had a 10-point deduction a couple of matches ago, before obviously their financial breaches, the fair play rules as well, they're out the relegation zone. That's incredible. And they dropped 10 points as well. Really well done to them. And the other result tonight, which I've been watching as well, and I'm sure a few certain friends are going to be unhappy with the result, but Tottenham were beaten 2-1 against West Ham. West Ham with an excellent second half and a good result overall. I should point out, Charlie, by the way, my drink is about to come, so I probably will pop off in the mode once I get called for that, but I'll continue on whilst I'm still here. Let me go through the other results as well, because there was actually been a really surprise. There's been some few shock results in here as well. I want to point out one yesterday. Aston Villa winning 1-0 against Manchester City. It's not the Manchester City team you saw, generally. You'd think they're, without Rodri, they're a different team. And we saw it yesterday as well. They really were a different team. Let me go to Tuesday result. Arsenal coming back in the 96th minute to win 4-3. That was the most exciting match of the whole weekend, I feel. An incredible last-minute goal from Arsenal when Declan Rice, particularly, who seems to be the last-minute scorer for Arsenal these days. I mean, man, he's incredible. Just absolutely incredible. The fact that Luton even had to fight against Arsenal, it's just great. I think they were so unlucky, Luton, just at the end. They could have got a draw out of that, but yeah, so unlucky for them as well. Wolves 1-0 win over Burnley. Yeah, that was a good result as well. And who was the other ones as well? Brighton 2-1 win Brentford, Crystal Palace, AFC Bournemouth, Fulham, wow, 5-0 over Nottingham Forest. Liverpool 2-0 victory there. 1-0 Aston. I mean, that was a good, incredible result for Aston Villa. Man United, Chelsea, 2-1 victory for Man United as well. And today's results.
And Everton won 3-0 against Newcastle as well.
Yeah, I'm gonna get my drink now, Charlie, and I'll come back to you in a minute once.
Yeah, that's fine, Zach. I'll just go over some of the fixtures for the weekend as well. So this weekend's fixtures. At the weekend, we'll see Crystal Palace, Liverpool at 12:30, followed by Brighton and Burnley, Man U, Bournemouth, Sheffield United, Brentford, Wolves and Nottingham Forest will the 3:00 kickoff, the 5:30 on Saturday, Aston Villa, Arsenal. And on Sunday, 2:00 kickoff, Everton, Chelsea, Fulham, West Ham, Luton, Man City, and then Tottenham and Newcastle is on Sunday at 4:30. That's all the Premier League news there as well. Also, we've got European action as well in the week as well. UEFA Champions League as well. We've got the Conference League on as well. Some matches on the 14th of December when Aston Villa, I think, are going to be in action as well. They're playing Ziyech Monstinger. I'm not sure you pronounce that name as well. And then Champions League also as well. Arsenal are in that. You've got Tuesday action in the Champions League. Arsenal and PSV. Newcastle and AC Milan on the Wednesday. Along with Man City, Red Star Belgrade. And Manchester United also play Bayern Munich at 8:00 on Tuesday. So loads of matches in the European football next week as well. And also Europa League as well. West Ham, I think, are in action as well. Liverpool, Brighton. So, yeah, that's all of the European football now. Moving on now to Formula One, where there has been some news that I want to discuss. Now, there's been an inquiry going on into Mercedes over an alleged investigation. But today, F1 announced sprint races for 2024. Oh, my goodness. Why is sprint races returning when I think they can take time? 99% show, 1% sporting event. That is exactly what they are. I'm echoing Max Verstappen on Las Vegas. Thank you. Formula One have announced new sprint races for next year, alongside the investigation, obviously, into Mercedes, which we'll come on to in a minute. But yes, I mean, this is interesting. So it's been announced, okay, that the sprint calendar will be confirmed, and this is where F1 are going next year for the sprint. So on supporting races for the sprint, Formula One have announced that, and I quote this now, okay, for you guys, it is China, Miami, Austria, Austin, or the United States in Austin, Sao Paulo, Brazil, and Qatar Losail International Circuit will all host a sprint race in 2024. That makes this 6 events to host a sprint. Okay. Zach, it's been an interesting week for Formula One, hasn't it? I think, given obviously Mercedes and this, it's an interesting new week for F1, and certainly lots of developments been happening.
Yeah, I'm back with my drink. I want to talk a little bit. I'll get into the Mercedes investigation shortly. But yeah, sprint races, 6 confirmed races for next season in terms of sprint races. China, Miami, Austria, Austin, Brazil, and Qatar on the calendar, mostly kept over from last season. Obviously, the ones that I don't think made the sprint, there's a few of them that probably haven't made the sprint this year. Kind of think with the ones that didn't make the sprint. Belgium's not on there, no Azerbaijan as well. So they're the ones that are not getting sprint races next season. They've been so Austria, Austin, Brazil, and Qatar have been kept over from last season, and this year we got China, Miami. What do I think? China, I think, is a decent addition actually for sprint race. I feel like it'll be a good sprint race because of the circuit they've gone on is a good overtaking circuit. So I feel in that sense, it's a good addition. China's a good addition. Only negative for me on this is going to be a very early morning for UK viewers as well, especially given the rumored impending sprint schedule changes as well. It will be a very early Saturday morning, I feel, for a lot of British people out there as well. We're going to have a very early Saturday morning start for a sprint race on that front. But on Miami, that's also been added sprint race. I don't think that's the best track to include a sprint race, to be honest. And Miami's not exactly excited me the last 2 seasons that we've gone there. And it's not exactly an overtaking circuit as well. It's really difficult to overtake them there. So I'm not a fan of Miami being included on the sprint calendar, to be honest. I'd rather they kept Belgium if needs to be. It's not a great addition in my view. And I'm struggling to think it's going to make a decent sprint race, given the fact that people complain about that race most of the time anyway. It's not really for me. I have to say, it's not for me, Miami. And I'm struggling to see how it's going to create a good sprint race, in my view, with a lack of overtaking opportunity as well. But I want to get on to the main F1 story this week. It's been a feisty off-season already. And it involves, and this sounds complex, an investigation by the FIA into FOM, Toto Wolff, and Susie Wolff. The investigation has been about lines of communication and channels that have been communicating about what information they're receiving, what they're communicating to each other, and whether information that are sensitive or private discussion is going through the correct channels and is not being broken through other channels because of the privilege that they hold together. Now, obviously, Toto and Susie are both married. Toto runs the Mercedes, obviously AMG F1 team. Susie runs Formula F1 Academy, which is another federal series for F1 as well. So the fact that Susie works for F1, it means that there has been decided that possibly that Susie can pass on information that potentially is sensitive and may not come through the right channels or relevant channels to Toto Wolff. That could be in the breach of regulations. Now, the controversial point about it is the FIA briefed this out that they were investigating to another newspaper, another journalist, and rather than going through formal communications, and it prompted responses from Mercedes, who denied it, It prompted a denial from Total Wolf. It prompted a full-on denial from Susie Wolf, who complained about sexism in the decision making. An astonishing attack, by the way, on the FIA. Accusations that put a reputation in risk, and we saw the extraordinary action when all 10 teams wrote a statement, and almost like a joint statement, really, because they were pretty much the same wording, saying that there was no complaints raised with the FIA regarding the communications, and actually they had full confidence in Susie Wolf as well. An extraordinary rally around the effect of the Mercedes team and the F1 community, apart from the FIA. I have to say, given what's been, happening, the FIA now not investigating this and they've dropped it, this has been a counterproductive and, quite frankly, very ridiculous event by the FIA that imposed on themselves through not, briefing out to media that they're investigating rather than through formal channels themselves. And, almost like somehow Toto and Susie are the property of each other in terms of communication, and they could abuse their power. This has been completely mishandled by the FIA, and actually it's put a bad strain on themselves with this unfortunate and by sounds of it, unnecessary investigation that's now thankfully been dropped. But it's not a good look for them. And actually, the rally around effect for Mercedes, Toto Wolff, and Susie Wolff in particular has been great to see as well. So, I'm glad that investigation has been dropped. But it's been a disaster management from the FIA in all of this, I think, as well.
Yeah,
really
it's the Formula One's in a bit of turmoil at the moment with that, and I think clearly Mercedes investigation. By the way, all the teams have launched appeals, and Mercedes haven't been found to be under a breach of investigation. So certainly very interesting developments there. Now it's time to talk about, actually, before we move on and do the conversation street quickly, I just want to quickly announce some news regarding Rolex 24, which is the Rolex 24 Hours of Daytona. That takes place in January next month. Of course, I can't believe we're saying this ahead of the event, really. There's going to be some drivers that are coming back. All 60 cars have now been announced. We'll go through some of them whilst we're here. Rolex 24 has been confirmed. So, it's also going to see a return for a few IndyCar drivers as well. The IndyCar starts in February at St. Petersburg. But Daytona, of course, this is the part of the IMSA series. This is the American Endurance season. We've got some drivers here. So we've got in the top class, we've got GTP Cadillac Racing. I think reigning winners of it. We've got Sebastian Bourdais, Reiniger van der Zane, Scott Dixon, who's also an IndyCar driver. GTP Porsche 963, Richard Westbrook, Phil Hansen, Ben Keating, and Tim Jim van der Helm. I do apologise for my pronunciation not being great. Porsche Penske 963, Matt Campbell, Felipe Nasr, Joseph Newgarden, Frederick Malkovacci there, and also as well, these are GT Pro, LMP2. We've got United Autosports. Pato O'Ward is in one of them cars alongside Ben Hanley and Ben Keating. There's also some Oracle 07 Gibsons as well. Paul DeResta, Felix Rosenquist are in the number 22 entry as well. And there's also loads of other entries. GTD Pro, McLaren 720 SGT3. 720 SGT3 Evo, sorry. Oliver Jarvis. Alexander Rossi as well. I think he still drives for McLaren in IndyCar. He's in it, along with James Hinchcliffe, another ex-IndyCar driver, and was also a Formula One panelist at one point last season. Is on there. And also GT Pro, Merkel Bortolotti, Andrea Caldarelli driving the Huracan GT3 Evo 2 entry as well. And then also GTD Pro as well. Mustang going in as well. GT3, Mike Rockenfeller, Harry Ticknell as well. God, I mean, Zach, this entry list is staggering for the Rolex 24 taking place next month at Daytona.
Oh, absolutely. You got some quite a lot of obvious names on there. If we go back to the top, we got a lot of names. We've got Sebastian Bourdais, Scott Dixon, Nick Tandy is one of them. The obvious names I can see on there. Felipe Nasr, Joseph Newgarden, Jenson Button was on there as well. If I read,
yeah,
well.
He's doing it.
Alex
yeah,
Lynn. as well. Brendan Hartley, we know, used to have a short period in F1. He's also on that list as well. A lot of very obvious and quite, recognizable names on that grid as well. It's going to be exciting. And it's only around the corner, would you believe it or not, as well. Daytona 24 obviously happens in January. It's the start of the, obviously, United Auto Car Championship. So, yeah, it's just down the corner as well. And a lot of famous drivers have taken part in this very famous race that's going to be just coming around the corner in January.
Yeah, and Formula E will be back as well next month for a record-breaking season. So that's all I'm going to say. Lots happening as well. But time for Conversation Street now. Christmas is the theme for this one this week. Because obviously it's Christmas Jumper Day 2024. I bet a lot of you guys have been really going out there and enjoying Christmas and hopefully enjoying the Christmas festivities, parties, got any parties coming up and stuff like that. And it's been an interesting. I thought I'd go through some Christmas jumpers that are on display right now. Your pictures, some of the best Christmas jumpers you can get as well. Best Christmas jumpers as well. Honestly, guys, should we do this? I think like it's like should we do Christmas jumpers that involve actually doing things funny, or shouldn't we be too inappropriate? I think you got to be careful when it comes to that. I thought I'd go through some of them. Obviously, I'm wearing this one today. This is an absolute. I got this from Primark the other year. I bought a new one from Tesco actually where I work. It's quite I bought a Tesco one, which is where I work actually. I'm a personal shopper at that store. Yeah, it's very important. Like literally, I work. But yeah, literally, this is what we've got. We've got M&S Shine Jumper. This is £29. We've got a pink one. I think these are for girls actually. We've got some girls ones here, from Stradivarius as well. Let me go in the menswear section quickly. Loads of Christmas jumpers. Outrageous and novelty gifts. Got some other designs as well. I found some more online here. Cool Santa. Santa out of Lapland. It's the most wonderful time for a beer. I mean, that one. That one always one of my I can say one of my mates certainly would love that jumper. I'm not gonna name you who, but yeah, we've got that one. We've got Back to the Future. We've got Big Nick Energy. There is some funny ones on here as well, and also, guys, to all of you guys for celebrating Christmas Jumper Day as well. Got a few pictures, a few photos. We'd like to share with you as well. Some places that have been taking part of an educational institution. You've been taking part in Christmas Jumper Day today. Your pictures have been sent through. This is on the Kent Online. These are some of the staff here. There's people. This was Mercure Madison event and sales team donning their Christmas jumpers today. As well. This was from Bourne Road Garage Mazda as well. That was in Kent. Just a few photographs up here. Canterbury office celebrating Christmas Jumper Day as well. And also as well, I've got a few other places. One other place really that I thought I'd share with you, and that's our key workers as well in our supermarkets. Shout out to all you supermarket staff out here. Where you can, like, honestly, supermarkets have to get, the staff need to get across. And funny enough, Lidl have actually released a £2 Christmas jumper. Would you believe it? This one here, £2 Christmas jumper. I wonder if £2 a bit on the cheap side for one, but yeah, certainly interesting. Zach, what do you make to Christmas Jumper Day 2023?
Yeah, we all come around in our famous jumpers. I've come out in my typical self, my everyday personality. So I actually forgot it was Christmas jumper day today. I didn't realise that. I'll wear mine at Christmas Day, probably, most likely. You'll probably see me wear it then. But yeah, I imagine there's lots of fantastic Christmas jumpers out there like we've seen today. Is actually, I mean, your one's pretty good. I'm not sure it describes you as an actual person, but it describes a sort of if I called you a melt in real life and in every day an absolute melt in a normal day, then that'd be offensive to you. So actually, no. But obviously for the Christmas spirit, it's absolutely fine because it actually matches the theme. The snowman could melt, will melt at some point, melts when there's no snow around. If it's 30 degrees, it'll melt in the summer. But yeah, the theme's spot on, to be fair. That does not describe you as a person, but describes the actual jumper. So that's at least we can get that one out of the way as well. If I thought you were an absolute melt, I wouldn't be doing this with you. So to be fair, but yeah, there's a lot of great Christmas jumpers out there. I'm sure that we've found the funny ones, the hilarious ones, the stupid ones, the naughty ones. I know a few of my friends got a few naughty ones that they wear as well. I've seen them on video call with it as well. Yeah, we get it's a great time to crack the jokes out and yeah, just enjoy yourself today and make a few donations along the way as well. Obviously,
Save the Children, that's the charity that are sponsoring it. So yeah, definitely get the donations out for them.
Find some donations, put donations in it because we need a lot of them as well. To send to the most vulnerable of children who unfortunately may not be able to celebrate Christmas as much as they want to as well, or just need somewhere to just need a bit of comfort. As well, there's also a serious element. I feel like to all these Christmas jumpers there, but just have fun when you possibly can and have a good day.
Yeah, and that is that part. Now we've got a couple of musical interludes coming up. Obviously, the Christmas one at the end of the show, but the first one is going to be a song by none other than British singer-songwriter Craig David. I know he's a very popular artist on our show, and that's because, of course, he's a big fan of his music. So I thought I'll play for you this one. This is a song, actually, that I think is an absolute steal. It's a great hit, this one. It's a song with Craig David and Blonde. This is Nothing Like This. Enjoy, guys. We'll see you in a couple of minutes.
This is more than just a crush. You say some romantic, just keep this right here. It's called real love, and nothing really matters as long as there's you and me. There's nothing letting you go. I found nothing like this, like this. I found nothing like this, like this. I found nothing like this, like this. I found nothing like this. Nothing matters when I'm with you. Life is simple, cause you're the truth. All along, I was here for you. Wait until the time in my back, give me the dream that I should go with you. More than just a feeling, this is more than just a crush. This ain't some romantic, just keep this right here. It's called real love, and nothing really matters as long as there's you and me. There's us, and I found nothing like this, like this. I found nothing like this, like this. I found nothing like this, like this. We found nothing quite like this. All the others that were just to waste the time, cause nothing can compare to when I'm with you. Oh baby, yeah. Life can be so predictable sometimes. Gotta be ready to read between the lines too. You feel me? More than just a feeling, this is more than than just a crush. You say some romantic gesture, this right here is called real love. And nothing really matters as long as there's you and me. There's us. I ain't found nothing like this. I ain't found nothing like this. I ain't found nothing like this. No, I ain't found nothing quite like this. I ain't found nothing like this. I ain't found nothing like this. I ain't found nothing like this. No, I ain't found nothing quite like this.
Thank you there to Craig David and Blonde with the song Nothing Like This. Oh, what a tune. Absolutely love it. I heard it at River Island the other week, actually, when I was in Basildon. I mean, Zach, what do you make to that song?
Oh, I like that. That's not one I've not heard for a while, but I heard that quite a lot. So it's a good song. It's a catchy song. It's a fun song. It's a song that's played out in lots of clubs, and I imagine it would happily still be if DJs decide to pick it. So yeah, it's a good song.
Yeah, that is Craig David and Blonde. Nothing Like This. You're watching the Tonight Show podcast. Me, Charlie, and Zap now live on YouTube. It's time now to walk you through the newspaper headlines that are coming out for tonight. And we've got lots of link ups, lots of newspapers that we're going to link up and do. Probably combine a few of them together. Right, comes as the Daily Telegraph goes, ousting the Prime Minister would be total insanity. That's the chairman as well. I think of the 1920 Tory. That's not the 1922 committee. I think it's the current Tory chairman as well. Times goes about Rwanda plan risks failing. Top lawyers warn Prime Minister. Daily Mail goes for annual charge BBC set to rise £10.50. Minister immoral to threaten jail over licence fee. That's a different story there. Guardian goes with a similar story. Sunak to hold Tories tough over Rwanda plan. Daily Star goes, airport smuggler is caught with a half zoo down his undies. Is that a Ferrari dog on 2 otters in your pocket, or just so pleased to see me? It comes a man failed attempt to smuggle otters and brain dogs trousers at Bangkok airport. What? Really? Crazy. The Metro goes for Ofsted brutal inhumanity, family fury as Kroner links reports of suicide, financial channels of Labour in list 10 cities advised help to make confidence, busy sector, bidge to ditch, steering image, Swimmer and Flint on the panel, no plan to scrap the rules or lift taxes. That's all the newspapers. Zach, what do you make to the current newspaper headlines that have been released so far?
Yeah, I'm going to combine quite a few of them tonight because they appear to be going through a lot of them. So I'm going to start off with the Express and the Telegraph, first of all. Basically talking about Rishi Sunak and his position. The Express goes, I get it now, back me to finish the job. Well, the Telegraph goes for outing PM would be insanity. This is all about the fact that obviously, Rishi Sunak is having a tough climb on immigration at the moment as well. He had a press conference today as well. His party chairman's been speaking to the press gallery as well today as well. Rishi's vowing to finish the job on immigration. This is going to be a tough job for him. He's facing rebellion from all sides of the party, the One Nation side, the New Conservative, the ERG, the Common Sense Group, like I mentioned as well, over the legislation that he's put forward as well. Now, one thing that's been disputed about where this is going to be confidence vote on Tuesday, I don't know whether it will be. I honestly don't know. Rishi said that no, it won't be. Then a minister went on the air this evening on GB News. I think it was, I can't remember, it was Rachel McLean or not, that said that it would be a confidence issue. So it sounds like the whip's not decided, quite frankly, whether it would be a confidence issue now. But in announcing this as well, there is, with the issue of the confidence vote possibly on the way, in the Prime Minister. The Conservative Party chairman has obviously had to raise questions about this, and this is what I've mentioned the Telegraph. And, he's basically said that it would be ousting him would be insanity. Yeah. You know, it sounds insanity given the fact they've managed to oust leaders before, literally Johnson, then Truss. It's possible with this lot. But who knows? I mean, yes, is there letters of no confidence going in? Probably yes. But will there be election next year? Probably yes. But will the Prime Minister still be there by the time of it? And the fact that we're even talking about it suggests a lot of problems the Prime Minister having to go through at the moment. And if it's possible, it could also fail, as we know, the Times has mentioned tonight as well, and the Guardian. The Eye also mentioned it as well about the possible rebellion and the legal implications of it. The top lawyers has said that his Miranda bill has potential failure because of possible challenges to it. Yeah, it still can be challenged despite some of the loopholes have been closed. But still, refugees and migrants will probably want to challenge it on a few individual cases as well. Looking at it, so it's a problem. Still going to be a problem. All the legal loopholes, I'm looking at this, have still not closed. Looking at it, it's still not closed, and there's still potential for a few problems as well. So yeah, I'm not surprised. I mean, if you look at various lawyers and human rights barristers, they think this would be tricky. The Lords particularly will be in. I still don't think it'll get through the Lords because I think they'll just rip it apart and stop it. So this creates a unity problem, as the Guardian says as well. In terms of whose side's going to be most upset, whose side's going to blink, whose side's going to say no, we're not going to vote for it anyway, whose side can say, well, we aren't comfortable, we are going to vote it. Are they eventually going to say, well, yeah, we're all going to vote for it as well? Will confidence issue happen? I don't know. The Eye mentioned that as well. Multiple, there's a possible Victoria rebellion. Remember, you only need 13. I think 29 or 39 to get a defeat as well. Robert Jenrick don't think it goes far, and they probably vote against it. Suella Barman will probably vote against it as well. What on the One Nation moderate group will vote against it? There is struggle. There's a big rebellion in the Conservative Party against this plan, and he's feeling the effects. That's probably why he did this emergency press conference today. But we're going to wait for statements from the ERG, One Nation. They're all going to make their minds up ahead of Tuesday, and it's going to be very, very, very big moment for the Prime Minister, I feel. If it doesn't get through the Commons is one thing, but like I mentioned, get through the Lords is another as well. Let's do the Daily Mail because I've done the Eye, I've done the Guardian, I've done the Times as well. We're going to do the Daily Mail. They focus on they love the BBC bashing, and they focus on that one. The BBC licence fee is going up by £10.50 next year. They're doing it at a below inflation rate, so they're doing it from the September figure, which I think is 6.3%. But it's an increase of £10.50. This is less than the BBC wanted it to be. But it's also more than what some backbenchers wanted it to be as well. But it's far lower than the increase sought by the BBC. Threatened, and she also, the Culture Secretary Lucy Fraser, said that threatening to send TV licence defaulters to jail is morally indefensible. She put the corporate notice with a place to put that around in the funding model will specifically look into the issue of criminal prosecution of the license fee. 1,000 people are prosecuted every week for not paying a license fee, which is, 99p per day. But because I don't want to watch the BBC, but yeah, that's the BBC license fee is still it's a live debate. I don't know what is the option if you scrap the license fee subscription model. That's going to cost more hard-working families even more, I feel. And yeah, I don't know the best option. I hope do you put commercials instead? Who knows? It's a live debate. Speaking of famous people, Philip Schofield refused to speak to ITV Faircry. Now, the findings of that came out today. Philip Schofield declined to speak for it, but the overall consensus speaking to multiple people is that the ITV did try their best. And they did try to find basically this evidence whether there was an affair going on, but they couldn't find it. And quite frankly, they followed the correct procedures as well. So ITV, I think, will be pleased with the report. But yeah, as well. I want to mention another stuff as well. It's been mentioned, I think, in the Guardian particularly as well. I want to pay tribute to Benjamin Zapparia, who's a poet, actor, and activist who's died today at the age of 65. I mean, he seemed like a beautiful human being. He's a wonderful person. He previously declined OBEs as well. He's talked about, obviously, a lot of things as well. He's written about, and he's an incredible man, and we'll rest in peace for him as well. Benjamin Zapparia, age 65, died today. Rest in peace, man. A very lovely person overall, and we'll probably miss him on that one as well. But moving on, the Daily Star comical front page this week is reports a man that failed attempt to smuggle otters and a pear dog in his trousers at Bangkok airport. What? I mean, a bloke trying to put otters and a prize dog in his trousers. I mean, that is that is cruel. That's animal cruelty. The Daily Star finds the funny side of it. Was it pleased to see me? I don't know what he's using the animals for. Animal smuggling, presumably, but that's just disgusting. Actually, I don't see the final side of it as well. The Financial Times go for Labour's 10 seat advisors help cement confidence in the business sector. As well, no plan to scrap rule lift taxes. This is a new thing that they Labour going to introduce in Scotland tomorrow. Rachel Reeves will be there, I believe, as well. Presumably, John Reynolds will be there in Scotland. Recruitment 10 cities of London will remake image and become even more pro-business than they currently are as well. And the Metro, lastly, the Metro, Ofsted brutal inhumanity. This is the coroner's verdict on Ruth Perry. Who said that the coroner found that there was a link between Ruth Perry's death and the Ofsted infection that was rated inadequate as well. So that contributed to her suicide as well. It's a tragic story, and I expect Ofsted will learn a lot. Sorry, not Ofcom, but Ofsted will learn a lot of lessons in this, and I hope they do as well. But all the thoughts will be with Ruth Perry. She was said to be completely devastated of being inspector views her school downgraded from outstanding to inadequate over safeguarding. I found the Ofsted vote would carry out in a manner that was lacked. I don't know what that says as well, but it's just lacked a little bit something. Report and sensitivity as well, and yeah, it's a very sad case with Ruth Perry, and there's a lot of proofs that go on there. But there is a closure to this case now. With the news that this did link to, her death, and there'll be a lot of questions for Ofsted to go on there onwards afterwards. But that is the papers, Charlie, for the 8th of December, which is tomorrow as well.
Yep, and I forgot to do plank of the week as well. I'll quickly go over that whilst we're here. Plank of the week, and then we'll play out a Christmas thing to finish the show off. Firstly, Zach, what's your plank of the week this week?
Plank of the week. For me, I mean, it's an easy one for me. It's Rishi Sunak and for Rwanda. It's just unrealistic. We found out this evening, and by the way, we've just found out this evening that the government have paid now 90 million to Rwanda to get this deal done, and no asylum seekers over there or immigrants over there. It's just a disgraceful bill, a waste of taxpayers' money, and just so much wrong with it. I mean, yeah, Rishi Sunak plank for the week for me.
My plank of the week this week is going to be Rishi Sunak, certainly one of them, but also as well, in some news as well, I have to give another one to this actually. My other plank of the week is a BBC presenter admitting that the licence fee is a joke. As well, one BBC presenter decided to go on air and basically cause a problem. Yeah. The BBC have been in turmoil this week, but the BBC presenter in question, who actually made a middle finger, Mariam Moshiri, is another one, for putting the middle finger up on the air. I mean, Zach, that's a bit offensive, isn't it, from a BBC presenter?
Yeah, well done, BBC.
Well done.
Yeah, that's become a meme now. The Conservatives used that in a meme today regarding Labour and their immigration plan, but which MP's not exactly happy about that meme, by the way. Yeah, I think that's a bit of an embarrassing moment for her. Timed it at the wrong time. I mean, fine, doing it as a joke behind the scenes before on air, I understand that, but the fact that it did it while she's on air as well, yeah, a bit of an embarrassing moment. So she has apologised. We remember Thomas Shakanafa did that previously as a BBC weather presenter, and he got moved to an off-air role as a result of that. But he's still back on our screen now. But yeah, not a good look, I think, for Mariam Morassi on air as well. And a bit, yeah, unfortunate, should we say.
That is it, and that's it for the Tonight Show podcast. Well, thank you so much for watching, and of course, we're going to play you out with a Christmas song, which is, of course, a cover of a classic Mariah Carey song. This one is perfect for your Christmas playlist, and we'll see you again next week for another edition of the Tonight Show podcast with me, Charlie and Zach. To play us out is All I Want for Christmas Is You, a cover of Mariah Carey's classic song by none other than Mr. Christmas and Canadian singer-songwriter Michael Bublé, one of my favourite artists. Thank you so much for watching. We'll see you again next week. Take care and good night.
Don't want a lot for Christmas. There's just one thing I need. Don't care about those presents underneath the Christmas tree. I just want you for my own, more than you could ever know. Make my wish come true. You know that all I want for Christmas is you. I won't ask for much this Christmas. I won't even wish for snow. No, I'm just gonna keep on waiting underneath mistletoe. There's no sense in hanging stockings there upon the fireplace, 'cause Santa, he won't make me happy with a toy on Christmas Day. I just want you here tonight, holding on to me so tight. Girl, what can I do? You know that all I want for Christmas is you. And all the lights are shining so brightly everywhere, and the sound of children's laughter fills the air, and everyone is singing. I can hear those sleigh bells ringing. So won't you bring me the one I really love? Won't you please bring my baby to me? I don't want a lot for Christmas. This is all I'm asking for. No, I just wanna see my baby standing right outside my door. I just want you for my own, more than you could ever know. Make my wish come true. You know that all I want for Christmas is you. Is you.